What up? What up, y'all? Y'all tapped in with the Stamper Podcast. This is episode 22. We got a special guest in the building. What's up, Corinne? How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Can't complain at all. Like we just talking about offline. Just got off Clubhouse. You know what's funny about Clubhouse? It's funny. I wasn't even on there at first. It was a platform where I was like, you know what? That's not something I really want to entertain. But then I found out there's a whole lot of notaries that be on that platform. So,
yeah.
So the notaries
it's
there.
growing. It's growing really fast because for me, I'm an introvert. So I don't like a lot of talking, but I do a lot of listening. And I found the number one thing that I like most about Clubhouse is that I can pull it up on my phone and I can do other things and still listen. It doesn't close out. So that's the number one thing that kept me on there. And then I started discovering all these different rooms. I didn't even know about the notary community when I had Clubhouse, but I could listen to different things. I don't have to be seen or heard. I can listen in. I could elect to be on stage. I was like, oh, this works for me. Then I discovered the whole world of notaries and all the different rooms. Then I got addicted. Then I'm like, I keep getting the alerts. So I had to remove myself from rooms and join the other rooms. So yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got that's another thing as far as like Clubhouse. I wasn't cool with because I seen the topics they was talking about on there. I was like, oh, this is a weird ass place. I can't do this. But then I seen the notary community on there. On the notary community, it was in there. So it was like, I mean, I'm tapped in the community. So it's like wherever they at, I gotta be at. So
So. And I like that it's integrated with Instagram. So you can open it with profile, you go straight to their page, follow them. So it's definitely a place to grow your following as well.
Facts. I didn't even introduce you properly. We got a notary entrepreneur, digital product creator, so many things that we can say. First off, I appreciate you for tapping in with me today. It's a privilege, it's an honor to have you here today. I just want the folks to be tapped in with you because they should know more about the entrepreneurs that's doing real good things in the notary space. And we want folks to know more about a little bit more about you. So just get into it. Just post a little bit about yourself, your background, and how'd you get into or what did you do previously before coming into the notary business?
Awesome. So my name is Corinne Jones, and I'm the owner of Freedom Notary Services in the state of Maryland. I became a notary in 2020, but prior to that, I had a full-time job working in government. If I go a little further back, I've always was in corporate America and government. And my goal in life was just to not be broke. That's all it was. I just didn't want to be poor. I want to have money. And I knew the gateway to wealth, so I thought, was getting a good job, keeping a job. So I did good in school, got a scholarship, went to Howard, shout out to HU in DC. And I started my first job on Wall Street. I went straight from DC to New York and I worked there for over a year. And I had major culture shock. It was overwhelming. I wasn't used to the demographics and some of the experiences I had weren't positive. And so I became homesick. So I moved back home, but I stayed within the same company. And I basically worked in foreign exchange trading. So I worked directly with traders, helping them calculate the profit and loss every day. It was okay. It paid very well. I worked long hours. And then I had my son and I realized I don't want to do 15-hour days, 12-hour days. It's just, it has got to be more ways to make money. It has to be, I should be able to have flexibility without compromising my salary. And so I transitioned to other jobs. And so for like the next 10 years, I just job hopped trying to figure out what kind of job I like. And I realized I didn't like any of them really. I just did well at most things. And I realized I want freedom. I want time freedom. But you can't find that with a 9-to-5 job because it's taking 8 hours of your time every day, unless you love what you're doing. And I just never really loved most of the things I did. I was in international business and finance. It just wasn't my thing. I just did it well. Yeah. And so then COVID hit. And at the time when COVID hit, I had started a new job. So I became a manager of an unemployment insurance call center. So of course, when COVID hit, unemployment rates went up. Everybody's calling to file an unemployment claim. I'm a new manager. I'm trying to learn a new skill, manage a team. And then I have 2 children. So their school is closed. One is in high school. One is in daycare. So you got virtual learning for one. Daycare, she's like right at trying to get in my lap. And I'm trying to manage a team during a crisis. It was just too much and it just wasn't worth it. And so I just decided to walk away. But my thinking was never like to start a business. My thinking was to find another job. Yeah. And of course, that made no sense when everybody else is looking for a job. But I'm like, but I can find another job. I'm capable of it. I just know this current job gonna kill me.
Right.
So I left the job and I started to look for another job. I had a headhunter, had all sorts of resources, and I never got a call back, period. And I was like shocked. I guess it was my ego because I just knew I'm just the best catch out there. And I never got a job. And so my son was like, Mom, why don't you just get like a side hustle in the meantime? I'm like, a side hustle? I need a full-time job and I'm going to wait until I get one. But my son is an entrepreneur and he, is always creating and he doesn't believe he'll ever be an employee. It's counterintuitive to him. And so he was like, why don't you go on Fiverr? You could be like an editor. You're so smart. You write for people. You could do all kinds of things. And I just was like, I'm not doing that. You can't make no money like that. And then because he sent me all these videos, loan signing system, all of these different training programs start popping up as suggestions. And, they talk about making 6 figures a year and all that. And I was like, word, that's what I was making. Let me click on that. Yeah. And so I started looking at the videos and I was like, it sounds real gimmicky, but I know you can be a notary. And so the more I looked into it, the more videos I saw, the more suggestions I got. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I could do this in the meantime because I'm not getting callbacks. I don't know how long it'll be, how long COVID going to be and unemployment. And so I went on and became a notary because it was so easy to become one. Yeah. And then I purchased one of the trainer programs and I learned all the good stuff to how to be a loan signing agent. And then I realized before I could take my first signing, I had to become a title insurance producer for the state of Maryland.
Right.
And I was like, what is that? And when I realized it, I got to sit and study for an exam, a state exam. And for me, I can learn most things. I can pass an exam, but this felt different because I didn't have any real estate experience. I didn't even understand a lot of the language that was in the content. And then the training program I purchased, it wasn't an instructor led. It was just like a PDF this thick. Yeah. So I just sat and studied and Googled and tried to make sense of it. And so it took me a few weeks. And once I had a good grasp of the material, I went on a separate exam and I finally passed it. So at that point, I'm like, I invested all this time and energy. I'm going to be a loan sign agent, a 6-figure paid one. Right. And then at the time, it was so, the interest rates were so low, we were just busy with refis. Yeah. So I hit the ground running thinking like, this is the way that the industry is, which, it shifts and changes with cycles. So I was busy and, I had a full schedule with signing services and I did that for probably a couple months. And I loved it because it was so new, but I knew that it wasn't sustainable because I'm thinking if I'm ripping and running like this, I'm in my car all the time, last minute, you got to print 1,000 documents. You got to prep the doc. At the time I was putting the little tabs on everything. I was afraid to miss the signature. I was so terrified of all these rules. And I was like, I'm headed to burnout. I still have the momentum because I'm telling everybody I got my own business, but I'm like, I'm headed to burnout because I can't do this forever. Yeah. And so then I said, well, everybody says it's time to start marketing the title companies. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm officially ready. So I started to did the whole gift baskets. I did all of that jazz. And I'm like, I feel confident I can do this. I did the script in my head. And I started to go to all the title companies in my area. I did the whole script, but it felt corny. It felt like I was asking people, begging people for business. And I'm like, but it works for everybody else. It's my pride, Corinne. Step aside your pride and just do it. And so I would go in there and I would do my whole spiel, but I would connect with the person at the front desk. And I could see that they could see that I was like trying to sell something. And I'm like, this ain't even me. Why does this feel like this? Yeah. But I did it because I wanted to see the results. And I probably went to 30 title companies and that one time that I feel like good about it, but I'm like, this is the system. It works. So I finally found one in my area, but let me back up. So I did all that. I never got any callbacks. I would get an email here and there. They'll thank me for the basket. They're going to put my information on file, or here's the signing service that we work with. Go register with them. So I would do all of that. But in the meantime, I ain't getting any business, and so I would give people tips and tricks about how to market, but I didn't get any business yet. So then it dawned on me that I need to, instead of spreading my net wide and applying to hundreds and hundreds of signing services and all these title companies, let me be a little bit more intentional about who I reach out to. Maybe it need to work for me. Instead of me promising I'm flexible, I'm here at a moment's notice, I can do all these things. That's not realistic. And I didn't choose this route to literally be a slave to other person's business structure. Right. So, and I have children and it's still COVID. And I'm like, maybe I got to find a job for real because this is not working. So I said, well, before I like throw the towel in, I decided, let me decide how I'm going to market differently. So I decided to draw my net in smaller. And I said, well, I'm going to look up and reach out to title companies that are close to me. It's convenient to me. So therefore it's going to be convenient to them, and find environments that maybe a smaller, more familiar environment so that I can create a relationship with them and then see what happens. That way, if I drop in, just because it's near me, I can establish a relationship. If they ever need me last minute, I won't lose that one opportunity and say no, because they're already an hour away, because I was going to different counties thinking that's the way you do it. But do I really want to drive all the way to that county to pick up docs and drop off docs? It's just, people do it every day. I don't want to. So I went to one title company and I did my whole spiel, but it was a little different. I just say, hey, I live down the street. I'm in Bowie, just like you. And if you're looking for a notary to backfill, I'm here. I'm pretty flexible with that, just because of the essence of, my location. These are the things I can do. If you're ever available, if you ever want to talk more, let me know. And I left just thinking, whatever. I tried, that's that. And so they called me back. And so once they called me in, and I met with the owner, and we talked about my experience, and we hit it off pretty good. And I became incredibly busy with them. I became their preferred notary. And I knew I enjoyed the experience because I learned stuff that I didn't know doing refis and stuff, just through signing services. I knew the ins and outs. I knew how to prep the docs. I knew how to work with the settlement offer. All of that stuff I learned literally on the ground running, because we had a meeting, and then she said, you want to just take care of my closings for the rest of the day? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Yeah, sure. So I just had to humble myself and ask questions when I was confused. And my first closing with them was like a couple of real estate agents in the room. It was a whole family buying a house, and the sellers were on the other side. I was just overwhelmed. I had to keep up with the docs and make copies of theirs. And I'm thinking, I don't really like this either, but it pays so much more. Right. And I'm learning so much more. And so they kept me so busy, like I was turning down business with other signing services. And mind you, other title companies never called me, and they're down the street. Yeah. So I realized, okay, so I did something right, because I was intentional about who I targeted, and I gained a lot of experience. But something said, well, what if the market changes? This is the only flow of revenue I have. So do I work for them really? Or am I creating and expanding my business? And that happened. Interest rates went up, and then they called me a lot less. And so before you know it, I'm back to looking at the list of 400 signing services that most likely won't call me, because if they're in California, they'll need me from time to time if they have a closing in Maryland, but they probably already have notaries in Maryland. Right. So I was back in the same position. And so I decided to think about other ways to generate revenue, which kind of led me to the digital product space. I gave you more answer than you asked for, but that's like the whole story. That's what got me here. So I love the notary world, and it's kind of shifted for me because I do general notary work. I love the apostille piece because I realized how simple it is once I've done my first. Yeah. But I also learned that doing notary work isn't for everybody if you're not trying to be in your car and grind, especially if you have a family and you don't have the flexibility. Some people have a family and they don't mind ripping and running and stuff, and that's cool. It's just not my style. And so that's when I started to get into digital products, and I created my ebook. And so now I realize other notaries have the same concern, but they understand it's a recipe to success, and everybody's doing what I did. And I could have changed my whole story and tell you how successful I was by marketing. And I was to some degree, but it was also a lot of like chance too. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that it's not for everybody, and that method doesn't work, which is what I like about your academy, because you teach people how to automate the process. You teach people how to create an agency for it. And so I wish I knew that then, because I would have started that immediately. Once I did a few refis, and I'm like, I'm just gonna tear my car up. I can't do this.
That's a fact. That's what they'll talk about when you first come into the game. Loan signing games, like, yeah, the money is there, but you got to drive all over the damn place, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, and then you're waiting for like
the counties.
Yeah, and then you'll have a signing. I've had signings, and I don't get the documents to the last minute. The anxiety I get for that, because I got stuff to do. Yeah. Is it going to happen, or is it not going to happen? And if it gets pushed back, I have other things, and I have other closings later. And then it's like you want to be flexible, but you can't. And it's just, I'm a different kind of person. I don't know about all the other notaries, how they feel about it. I think it's everybody's pain point.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, I like structure. And in this business, it's unexpected. I get that part.
Yeah.
But when you're hustling just for one closing and then you lose it, you know, it wasn't for me in the beginning.
It's tough. Yeah, because like I said, you will have some even signing services or title companies, they'll get those documents to you late, but it's imagine if you got four other closings that you got to do that day. So by them being late with those documents, that gives you less time to prepare. Right. You still got to print out those 2 sets of documents. And then when you go to that appointment, you don't know if you come across that person who wants to sit there and read every single line of the closing disclosure. And by the time you look up, you didn't spend 2 hours at this closing. You already late for your next appointment. So,
and you know what I started to do? I started to really work on my emotional intelligence because I knew that you have the readers, you have people, if you approach them a certain way and communicate a certain way, you can instantly, they can just be disarmed. You build trust and you can get through the signing a lot quicker. Yeah. I didn't know that at first. If a person sit and read it, I felt like respectfully, I have to just let them read. So I would already know they don't look sure. So I'm gonna start explaining every document a little bit more in detail in the beginning. Yeah. And then once they like, oh, she got this, I trust it. Then we done.
Same here. Like I think in my career, I think I might have had 1% of people that have done that. But the thing about that, if you're gonna sit there and try to read everything, it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna just explain the purpose of the document. So I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna just keep explaining. Like I've literally been in moments where I just keep talking to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna read it. I'm gonna just let him just do what he does. And then when he leaves, I'm gonna just read the documents for himself. Because what's the point? I mean, that's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to guide you through this process. I'm here to make sure that you understand what you're signing. So by you sitting there trying to read line for line item, we already got 3 business days to cancel anyway.
Right. Some people think that they're doing the right thing by reading every document. Like people are taught, you know, don't sign nothing if you don't know what it's about. You know, there was a guy that I did a closing with. He was buying his first house, and he was probably 22. Yeah. He was buying a house, and he sat there and read his father was with him, and he read every page. And I knew he didn't even understand what he was reading. Yeah. But he was reading, and I said, "You want me to explain it to you?" He was like, because I would give a little synopsis and then, you know, tell him where to sign. Yeah. And he was reading word for word. And I was like, you know, you want me to elaborate? And he was like, no, I got it. So that was one of the, and I didn't want to like rush on him. Man, just be buying your house. So that was probably the longest closing I ever had. And he read every page, and he eventually signed, and he didn't ask any questions, but I know he didn't know what he was doing. Yeah. So some people think that they have to read everything. It's the right thing to do. And then you have other people who just don't trust any legal documents. So they feel like they have to read it just so they lay their eyes on it, whether or not they understand it is something separate.
Yeah, especially after 2008, folks would be real wary of these lenders, so they want to make sure they read everything. So which is understandably so. I get it. At the same time, I'm still gonna do my part and explain the purpose of these documents at the end of the day. Yeah. So I want to unpack real quick because you gave a lot of information there. I want to get back to your college experience. So you say you are alumni of HU, right?
I am.
How was your experience there?
So funny enough, I didn't want to go to Howard because I went to a high school right across the street. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like, I don't want to go to my neighborhood school. To everyone else that went to the school, it was prestigious and they were proud to be there. I'm like, that's the last school I want to go to. But my mother is a graduate of Howard, and she was like, you better apply to this school. And so I applied, and I got into, you know, a number of other schools. And then Howard sent me an acceptance letter. I'm like, dang, I gotta go to school. But then they gave me a full scholarship too. And I was like, all right, you can't deny that, because I didn't want any debt. So that's how I got there. But I didn't want to, initially I wanted to major in psychology because I like coaching. I like one-on-one. I always like helping people. I mean, ever since a little girl, like I actually had, and I didn't know that I was having it at that time. I would have like coaching sessions with like older family members. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I would talk to people and they would tell me their problems, and I would offer suggestions at 10. And I thought, you know, I just enjoy this. It's so fulfilling. But as I got to understand more about what I liked, I'm like, I'm gonna be a psychologist. And then I went to my high school counselor, and she asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I just want to be rich and I want to travel. And she says, well, just major in international business and finance. And I was like, oh. So I just threw the whole psychology thing down the drain. And I was like, that's cool, because I just want money. Right. And so I went to Howard. I went to their business school, majored in international business, concentration in finance. So it was cool. You know, that's exactly what I wanted. I got a job with a major bank, and I realized I don't like it.
That's crazy how things, it's a trip how things come full circle. Like you say you majored in international business, right? And then you do an apostille where you got to certify those documents international use.
Yeah, I think every little thing, it's so funny you say that because I didn't think of it that way. But every experience that we have in our life, it all connects some way. And sometimes we think, okay, well, like my son, for instance, he'll hate when he sees this interview, but he had a job interview today at Chick-fil-A. He was like, it's dumb. Like, what's the point? You know? And I told him, I said, something in this experience is going to connect the dots with something else. So don't ever minimize experiences because somehow or another, it all comes full circle, even if it's a bad experience. Yeah. You know, it helps you in some way. So, you know, it's not foreign for me to, it's not, no pun intended, but it's not, you know, strange for me to work with somebody needing to get a document apostille for another country because I'm just familiar with just all of those things because I studied it. I've been in another country a few times and I'm just familiar. Yeah. And so even with working in a corporate environment, dealing with, you know, clients that I have, it doesn't feel strange because I've worked in various work environments. So everything works together.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. That's dope. So you say you went to I definitely gotta ask this. So you say you working in the banking industry, right, on Wall Street? Mm-hmm. Talk about that. And I'm pretty sure it's not too many folks that look like us in that industry on Wall Street. So just talk about what being in that environment, you know, what was that experience like and how that shaped you to where you're at today in your business?
Right. So when I was at Howard, I knew that if I worked as hard to get this business degree, you know, everybody's working to get the best job with the Fortune 500 company. And so I didn't know where I wanted to go. I wasn't even I didn't care to even move away. I just wanted a great job. And so a lot of companies came on campus to recruit. And so they interviewed everybody and I applied for various internships. And so every time I would apply for an internship, you would have the interview in that summer and, you know, they would send you to another state and stuff like that. So I've interviewed in other states for summer internships and stuff. So I became okay with moving away. Yeah. And so I interviewed with one company and they had me come for a second interview and it was called Super Saturday. And so the position was to be an analyst. So they were taking all, you know, freshly new grads from college and you would be entered into like an analyst program and they would kind of train you and groom you for their company. Yeah. And so for Super Saturday was our interview. And so me and hundreds of other analysts that were seniors in college came to the interview. And so everything I experienced, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. And so we got up there it was the summer before I got hired. And so you go up there and we had a series of like panel interviews. There was one opportunity where I was in a room and we had to like put together like this whole Lego project and sell it to the people that were interviewing us. And so they're all like VPs and managers, and they're part of the interview panel. And so they want to see how we work together as a team. And I'm like, this is so whack. But I knew that they were looking at more things than just how you show up in an interview, how you work as a team. Are you a leader? Are you a collaborator? All of that stuff. Yeah. So we did all that. And I got accepted for the analyst position. And so I already had my job before I even finished my last semester in college. So I was definitely bragging about that. I'm like, you know, what if I don't even finish? I already got the job. But the first day I started, they walked around and wanted your copy of your diploma, your degree. Yeah. So that was cool. So I moved to New York, and that's when the culture shock hit because I was the only Black woman in every single space, from happy hours to trainings. Like we did a few weeks of training, and people were pretty nice for the most part, but I didn't feel like I could relate with anybody. And I was homesick. And all my friends from college were Black. So it was definitely little nuances that we may not think about, you know, was very evident just from like the type of food or the type of music or the things I wanted to do or the things that, you know, just everything was just different. And so I began to naturally isolate myself, which definitely doesn't work because I'm still trying to learn a new job. It's my first job. Yeah. And so it was overwhelming. I just wanted to come home. I felt like a little girl. I wanted to come home, but I said, I'm going to stick out at least a year to get the experience. And so over that course of that year, I started to meet, I would see a Black person in the building or a happy hour. I'm like, hey, so we would connect. So I created my own little community within the organization of people that look like me and I could reach out to. And then I found other leaders in the organization that were minorities, and I would just offer like, hey, can we get coffee? And they would be quick to do it because they understood. So that was my saving grace, but I just still didn't love it. And so my role was a controller. So as a foreign exchange controller, I would project what the profit and loss was for the traders for the next day. Mm-hmm. So I would go to the trading floor and I would let them know like, okay, you are projected to lose X amount of Japanese yen or, whatever the currencies were that trader was trading. Mm-hmm. And they would accept or reject, or they would have an idea with their own research, but we provide that information for them.
Yeah.
And so being an analyst that did that, I learned a lot, but culturally walking through the trading floor, and it's just everyone, different gender, different race, I felt like I didn't always feel respected. I didn't always feel, at times I questioned my own competency because I didn't have a certain level of support. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, is it me? Is it just me lacking confidence, or is it the environment? And I think it was a little bit of both. So I can't overstress looking back how important, having a community is of people that can identify with you and can support you. And no question you ask is stupid. I would start to feel hesitant to ask questions about things that I knew nothing about, which are natural to ask. Yeah. But, as you put it, everybody was snooty. And yeah. I don't think it had everything to do with race and culture, but I just think that it was just a certain type of environment that I just wasn't used to. Yeah. But yet you had like other people that came to started working at the company that came from Ivy League schools. So they were already groomed in those environments. And I'm just a girl from DC that's super duper smart. And I just didn't have that level of experience. But looking back, I needed that experience to understand how important it is to offer your leadership and your mentorship for people coming up behind you that may need the guidance, not just because, not just if I see another Black person, but just anybody, because it really sucks to feel, alone and feel like no one can understand or support you. And it may have made a difference, and I may have stayed longer had I had a different experience. So, but I relocated. I moved to Baltimore and I stayed within the company because I hated it. And luckily human resources, found a position for me. And I even took a pay cut. I didn't care. I just wanted to be closer to home and more comfortable every day at work. And so, that was my first major job experience out of college.
So would you say going through that experience help you position you to where you're at in your business now, where you feel more confident in being in these different environments, what to expect moving forward, and what to somewhat, to be like, as far as preparing yourself to be around people who may come from different backgrounds from you, but what you bring to the table as well?
Oh, yeah, I know. I make no assumptions about people. I make no assumptions that more or less based on culture, based on what you look like, based on how you talk. I make no assumptions about that. I give everybody an opportunity to teach me something and me offer them something. But I also think the combination of all my work experiences, because I worked in higher education, I worked in a career center, thinking that if I work in a career center, maybe I'll figure out what I want to do with my life. Yeah. And so I've been trying to figure it out ever since. And I realized I may go to my grave trying to figure it out. Is more so of trying to find, now it's about finding places where I can add the most value, because then that becomes valuable to me and I feel more purposeful. So I've worked, local government. I've literally done a lot of different things. And even within government, from department to department, the culture and the people and the levels of experience varies. So I think all of those things combined has led me to a position now where I know how to speak multiple languages, like talking to customers, and customers, you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know how they're going to show up, and be able to be consistently delivering good service to them and understanding and not being so super sensitive. I don't think I could be a notary, run a notary business or anything like that in the mindset that I had, back then. Yeah. But all of these experiences, it toughens your skin. And it also grows your awareness of how different people are, and maybe my experience with the mindset I have now, and if I were to go back to that time, maybe it wasn't that bad. I was just a little timid at the time, and I just didn't have the level of support that I needed. I think it was a lot of things.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
So transitioning now into your notary business, what were some of those early challenges you dealt with in the beginning?
I think the biggest challenge was you don't get off work. You don't get off. And for me at 5 o'clock, I'm off. Yeah. So I would get annoyed sometimes when I would get alerts for signings later. I'm thinking, who's doing an 8 o'clock signing? But a whole lot of people are, and they are getting money. And I'm like, I'm off. But if I didn't get any signings that day, then I didn't make any money during my hours of operation. Then I didn't make any money. So I started to. It was difficult, but I started to kind of shift how I move and be more flexible. So I started to take evening signings and or opportunities that was further away. I think everyone says the 9-to-5 mindset, like that's real. Like I literally had to detox from thinking like a worker instead of seeing opportunities in unexpected places. So I wasn't in the beginning, I wasn't marketing myself like that. I'm thinking I am a mom right now in the grocery store. I'm not telling people I'm a notary. I'm off. It's the weekend. And so now it's different. It's important to tell what you do to everybody that you know, make it part of it. Because I think I wasn't fully invested because I fell into being a notary. I wanted a job. Yeah. And then this kind of caught on. I realized, wow, I could start my own business. This is cool. And there's tons of refinances out here. It's amazing. I can make all this money. Yeah. But I still was working. And that's why it was a challenge. And now it's like, you get what you put into it. And, and I've created a lot of relationships and return customers simply because I take the time. If somebody's like, if I'm at the bank and I'm in line or at the post office or FedEx and somebody's talking about needing a notary, there was times I was standing in line and I'm like, oh, they need a notary. Oh, well, I'm tired. I'm off work. Now I'm thinking, here's my card. What are you looking for? Or if you know anybody that needs a notary, I'm always thinking about my business differently than having that structured limitation around the job.
Of course, man. Well, man, that's a fact, man. That's crazy that you talking about that because when I first came into the business, I wasn't doing that at all. I wasn't trying to, it's because you got to kind of grow into that in a sense. Like you don't come into it where it's like, oh, you marketing yourself constantly. That's something where it's like, you got to actually feel it. So when you're not feel it, when I say feel it, that means if you're not getting any business, then that's what it's like, okay, I actually got to get out here and talk to people. If I am in the grocery store, I am going to start up a conversation. Like, hey, what do you do? Did you check out the game? Do you know what's going on in the pub? Oh, by the way, what do you do for a living? Like you will be forced into those positions where you do got to market yourself. And then, and two, when you do that, that grows you, like say, as an entrepreneur, that positions you where it's like, you know what, this is not so bad after all. This is something I can actually do. I am willing to take that time to go stop into a lawyer's office or stop into a title company or just start a random conversation with someone because I know just by planting those seeds alone, those are going to bear to fruition at some point down the line when you least expect it, right? So
yeah, and I think believing in your business makes a difference. I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like if somebody called me for a job, then I'm out. So I wasn't fully invested, and I thought I was because I created my LLC. I put money in my business. I studied. I passed. I got a licensing for being a TIPIC and all of that. So I thought that I am running a business, but I didn't have a clue about the mindset part. So I didn't know how to sell myself. I felt weird. That's why I don't think I was very successful with title companies because I was doing like a cookie cutter. I was just doing what everybody else was doing because I was told that that's the recipe for success. But if I walked in and really being proud and investing in what and outlining what value that I add to a company or to a title company or to people that I bump into, I think that would have made the difference. Now I get it. Now when I want to talk about whatever I'm offering, services I'm offering, whatever, I feel confident about it because I have buy-in. I've convinced myself that I got some value. At first, I was just providing a service and keeping it moving. I didn't understand that piece, and now I get it because if I don't do if I don't have the energy I have now, then there's nothing. So that's the whole refi bubble was very deceiving to all the notaries that signed up. For everybody, it was very deceiving because a lot of people just knew. Oh, it almost felt like a packaged business. Like you can just become a business owner and here's a recipe because it was so much volume. So you can literally hit the ground running. And I was like, dang, I got the flexibility. I could turn down something. I could turn down an opportunity or take an opportunity. I can be home whenever I want. And all the things that they advertised when I first saw that YouTube video. And I was like, but I didn't know anything else. I wasn't building and expanding. And so that's when I came to a screeching halt when, you know, the one title company that was feeding me so well, it started to fade out and none of the signing services were calling me back. So then I realized, oh, you got to work your business. You got to put energy into it and believe in it and start thinking of new opportunities and networking. And that's when the shift happened. That's when I realized, okay, now I'm running a business.
Facts. Yeah, that refinance boom of 2020, that was insane. That was insane. It seemed like I was getting like 10 to 15 notifications a day.
So at that time, you were doing loan signings consistently at that time?
You want to know what's so funny? So I'll tell you this. So in the business, I've been in the notary business for about 5 years, right? But like you said, having 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that was me. That was me. So I was one of those kind of people where I'm trying to do too much. Like I had different businesses all over the place. I was working in financial services, vending machines, options trading. I was doing selling products on Amazon and eBay, just doing absolutely too much, right?
Were you successful in all those things?
Hell no. I wasn't successful in all those things. Like one would do well, one wasn't. It was almost like it wasn't like to where every single one of those businesses where I'm just doing astronomically well. Like I make 500 here, 600 there, 2,000 here, but it wasn't like one big thing where it's like, okay, this is a huge river, where it's just like I'm creating ponds all over the place. So I wasn't really getting anywhere. Like I'm putting all this time and energy into these different ventures, but I'm not getting out when I'm putting in, if that makes sense. Yep. Right. So during that time, like I said, I was working in financial services. And I got kind of put off from the notary business for a while because when I first came into the business, I think I mentioned this earlier, like my whole thing was I want to do loan signings, get that direct business. I didn't know anything about apostilles. I didn't know anything about estate plan signings. I didn't know anything about I-9s, power of attorneys. I didn't know anything of that nature. Because when you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you know, you're not really focused on what as far as what else is being offered to you in this particular industry. You just focus on one specific thing and you keeping it pushing. So because of that, I missed out on a lot of business and a lot of opportunities because again, I wasn't fully invested into the business. Now, when I made that decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna cut out all of these ventures. One thing that was consistent was the notary business. I'm gonna go all in on this and then just go from there. And then when I made that decision to cut off all those other ventures that I was into, my business benefited because of that. Right. So that's why I think that's why they always tell you, like, master your craft, master that one thing first. And then once you completely master that one thing, then you can venture off and do all those other ventures that you want to get into, because this business, you already got it mastered. You got it on autopilot. You got the pieces in place to where it could actually run itself without you. Then you can venture off and do those other things. So
that is so true, because, you know, I've put money into a lot of other things in the beginning. Like I purchased options trading training course because it's like you feel anxious and you want to make money and you don't want to lose another opportunity, but you really can't give and when you're trying to learn something to mastery, you can't. Some people do, but for me, I can't do all these multiple things at the same time to mastery, at least to be successful. It's just not going to happen. And so you end up inching forward, stepping back, inching forward. And then eventually, like, you stop doing those things and you realize you wasted time and money when you could have just been focused on one thing. I think everybody goes through that at some point, but that's what the experience is about. Now I get it. If I want to move into do something different, then I really have to be focused and give that my time and attention, and don't let the distractions and shiny things, you know, lead me over there. But then I'm not efficient at all.
Yeah. And man, you hit the nail on the head. Like, you're much more efficient when you all in, because when you're doing all these different things, you're not going to learn the type of insights that you will learn once you all in about a particular, whether it's a particular marketing strategy or how to get connected with the right people. Because again, I was doing so much, doing all these different things to where I didn't even have a full understanding of how can I really fully monetize this business without having to completely rely on signing services all the time. Because my whole thing, because initially, what turned me off about the notary industry initially, like just being in it, and I was a little jaded because I'm trying to figure out, like, how all these other notaries getting these direct signings? They just first getting into the business, Meanwhile, I gotta always rely on signing services. And what I hated most about the business was like, damn, I gotta wait 30 days to get paid.
Right.
And that's what pushed me into other ventures. Cause it's like, well, damn, I gotta wait 30 to 45 days to get paid. I got kids to feed, I got family to take care of, bills to pay. I can't sit up here and wait 30 days to get paid. Like, I gotta find other ways to get it. Right. So when I and shout out to Andre Hatchett, man. As soon as I took Notary November and I finally figured out, I was like, oh, y'all making money outside of loan closings? How y'all doing that? And then once I actually got educated, so once you get educated and you put yourself around the right people that's actually doing these things and just getting in the right environment, so you actually see it's possible. From there, I was like, oh, I'm doing it moving forward. So now that I got the game, so that's important. So if you get the game, you get the information on what to do. From there, it's nobody else's fault but your own if you choose not to act on it.
Right. That's so true. Right. Yeah, that is so true. Yep. And I didn't know in the beginning how important networking was, because networking in this space as an entrepreneur is different than the workplace. Like I guess I felt jaded with networking in the workplace. I hated the happy hours when I was in New York. It was just like, I did it because, you're shunned if you don't, I'm sticking out like a sore thumb if I didn't show up and everybody else was there. And then you got to have all these, to me, meaningless conversations and after 5. So for me, I just hated it. And so I did it because I had to, but it didn't move the needle like that for me in the workplace. It helped, to build those relationships. But I built the relationships during the day, 9 to 5, and I had to do all this other stuff. So looking at networking now is very different. Like I truly want to know what you're into, what you're learning, what kind of customers you have, and exchanging it. Because now I have a story, I have experiences too, and I believe a lot of small businesses, they want to have that connection because otherwise they're existing by themselves. Yeah. And so to build that community with other companies, with other small businesses and entrepreneurs, you get new perspective, you get put on a different vendor, you save money. You realize some of the gripes you have, you're not alone, or maybe you was doing something wrong. And then just to feel supported too, it goes very, very far. I wouldn't have a lot of the experience and opportunities now had I not started to network and stop looking at it the way I looked at it when I was working.
And to add on to that, like as an entrepreneur, like it's not like you said when you in the job, when you in the job market, in the job space where you networking, because again, you just network, you're not really having those real meaningful conversations. At the end of the day, you still got stability, whether this conversation works out or not.
That's true.
But as an entrepreneur, like you have to be very intentional about building that community, being very intentional about making that connection, because you never know, that one person, just from that little tidbit of information or who they can connect you with, can completely shift your business. So you have to be very intentional about the way you network and who you be, and being diligent about who you connected with at the end of the day. So
that is so true. Yeah.
So as far as like in your notary business now, where are you at as of now? What is like your niche now that we know that it's like you do loan signings, but is that still your thing, or are you transitioning to general notary work? Like, where are you at as of now?
So right now I do a little bit of loan signings. I'm not pushing that hard. I mean, I'm not excited now that I know you can make money quicker doing other things. I do them when it's absolutely convenient for me. So I'll accept them. Sometimes I'll get calls from the title company and stuff like that, but I'm not aggressively working toward it. If there's another wave where interest rates go down, if that ever happens, I'll take more because it's easy to do. I have experience with it. I don't mind printing to some degree, even though I'm not pressed to do it, but I'm not. And so I do a lot of general notary work in my local community. But what I really want to do is I'm moving into the space of coaching because I actually love to do that. And that's the funny thing, you talk about full circle, is that like everybody wants to be a coach. If you go on social media, everybody and their mama's a coach. If they learn a skill, now they want to coach the skill. I totally get that. It's an opportunity. If you have something that somebody doesn't have, you got some value that they want. Maybe not everybody want it, but you have it. So I respect that. But for me, this is something that comes natural for me. When I'm one-on-one with anybody, I'm able to help shift their perspective about things, depending on what it is and what they can gain from me. And so what I found is that when things slow down so quickly, I'm like, what's another way that I could leverage what I have to get what I want that doesn't sacrifice so much of my time like it has? Because I was just feeling kind of burnt out from all the signings and stuff. And then the hustle with marketing, I'm like, I done spent the days with a whole tank of gas, and I know these people ain't gonna call me back.
Right.
So I'm like, this is just, I'm tired. And so I decided I'm gonna start creating digital products. Like I'm gonna start, creating things, but how am I going to sell it? Like, how does that part work? And who's my audience? And I started to think at first, my audience is the public, all the people that I provide signings for and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking everybody's so different. Yeah. And so and what am I going to talk about? So I started to think about all these things, but I knew that digital products saves time. You put the effort in one time, it's done. You can make money till infinity. And I knew that it will fit so much more as other services that I create within my notary business expands. I can still have this during these times when there's no business. Yeah. And so I learned how to write an ebook because I'm a writer too. So I write all the time. I've written for every company that I've worked for. So I've been a technical writer. So if you needed somebody to write all your standard operating procedures, like I'm great at being like a requirements analyst. I can figure out without knowing the craft and what you do, I can write it in a technical language. So that now you have a document within your business that has an instructional guide. So it can kind of live on. You can train people without, losing time and all that stuff. So I've done standard operating procedures, technical documents, guides and stuff for years. And then I'm like the whole resident resume writer in my family. So, and then I journal every day. And so it's a natural skill and gift that I have. And I'm like, well, I can write ebooks, but does everybody else want to write ebooks? Does everybody else want to write things? So then I started to think, eventually I want to start teaching other businesses how to write ebooks and how to draft documents. But how do I even leverage that? I don't even know, because I just want to create digital products to bring in some income. Yeah. So that's what led me to write the ebook that I have called the Notary Pivot. It's a notary's guide to transferring your knowledge into digital products. And so the ebook that I wrote talks about how a notary can take all the knowledge that they have that sometimes they don't even really recognize, and they can transfer that into a digital product that somebody can benefit from. And so the book is targeting notaries who really don't think that they can do it. So somebody like you might not need my book because you have digital products, you understand the value of it. But there are a lot of notaries that watch everybody else that create digital products, and they think, well, I'm kind of new, or, I don't have a necessary niche, or I don't know how to write a book, or it's too hard. They just don't understand how to do it. And we both know how simplistic it is. They just need to know how to do it and how to leverage it. And so that's what my ebook is about. And so a lot of people, I've shifted a lot of perspectives with it. A lot of people have purchased the book and now they realize, oh, I don't have to be, a veteran notary to create a digital product for my business. It's just like every other service that you expand. This one is just way better. You make it one time and it works itself. You just market it and stuff like that. And so ultimately what I want to begin doing is I started already coaching notaries on how to do that very thing. And I learned through already coaching some notaries is that it's not the whole technical piece of how to write it and what to use and what platforms and how to use Canva. It's more so about removing the roadblocks and identifying the values you have and connecting that with the audience that you want to serve. And people don't even realize how important that is, but that's the number one thing that keeps them from creating something. And once you create a digital product, it's so rewarding. Like you have a whole product on the show that you can sell. You're not just doing all the other services that notaries do. You have something unique. And I believe that it can be 20 people or 30 people or 50 people that can teach on the same thing, but it's something unique about the way you teach it and the content and experience that you have. And I don't think that a lot of notaries recognize that, So if I became a wedding officiant, I'm like, well, I personally know a couple wedding officiants. So what do I have to offer? I do. I have my own unique experience in Maryland. I have certain customer experiences that I may want to talk about. I can narrow it down to specific focuses. It's so many things that you can do and create to add value. And so that is what excites me. And then I love still being in the notary world, and I have the skills and I bring in revenue in my notary business, but digital products, oh, that's the way to go. That's definitely the way to go, because it's endless things that you can create.
It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
And you brought up something that's very important. Like it's easy to create the product, but it's hard. It's that roadblock and getting people that actually believe that they could actually do this.
Yeah.
Because for me, in my opinion, I believe I don't care who you is. We all bring something different. We all bring something that's unique to the table. So whether if you've been in the business for about a month or so, however way you get in business, I'm pretty sure you can help someone get business in that first month. Like someone can learn from your experience, someone can learn from your perspective. And so it's just a matter of, getting with people like yourself who's willing to help you position, to help you, put yourself in that book, help you shift your perspective and get you to think like, no, this is something you can do regardless of if you're seasoned or not. It doesn't matter if you just having the confidence, having the belief in yourself. And I believe you really helping notaries with that.
Yeah. And I think there's a note, like I feel like notaries pop up every day. Whatever the statistic is, every 5 minutes, someone has become commissioned in their state. Right. And so when you have somebody who just got commissioned, me compared to them, now I'm not you. I know you have a wealth of more notary experience than me, but I can give this new notary that just got commissioned a wealth of knowledge. To them, I'm their expert. And so, there are tons of information it's the same information pretty much, but I have a whole lot to offer, especially specific to the state that I'm in. Yeah. So, and it's great to have a community of notaries all over the United States. So for me to help all these different notaries, they can create a similar product, similar information, but they have their own unique following. They have people who they may even do signings for. They may say, hey, because I've had experiences, I'm sure you have, when you're at the table and someone says, do you like what you do? How many signings do you do a day? Do you like this? How does it work? How do you become a notary? I have tons of times when that's happened. And in my head, I would think, what if I had an ebook teaching people how to do that, or a guidebook, and I could off the side after the signing is over, I could say, hey, if you're interested, here's my link. You can buy my book. Yeah. Like you don't have to have your customer base doesn't have to be other notaries on Instagram. It can be the people in your community, all your family members that want to get put on, but they're not serious. Buy my ebook first. Right. Buy my workbook, my digital, whatever it is. Like it's an opportunity, and you don't have to sit and train someone each and every time on how to do it.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it too, and the reason why I always encourage notaries to get into this space, because again, you're gonna have some days where you may have a day or two where you don't get a signing. But if you got a product that you recorded one time and you're still able to monetize that, man, this is great. You done made a few dollars just sitting on the couch. Right. Because somebody then bought your product because they want to learn. They want to learn something. They want to learn some type of information that you put out there, right? And you put it out there for people to learn from, and you're able to capitalize and monetize on that, right? So anyone that doesn't have it, it's like I don't know what you're doing.
So how did you get into the digital product space? Did you just you saw the people? Did you have mentors, or you just already knew?
So I'm part of the Tide Capital Mastermind. Shout out to my guy Charles. So it's funny, right? So we was in the mastermind one day, and the first challenge he put out was, I need all of you guys to create a $1 digital product. And it could be on anything. It could be anything that anyone in here could actually do it. So at the time, I'm thinking like, what the hell I'm gonna put out? I don't know what to put out, like how to become a notary public. And so that was the first thing I put out, was the quick step guide to becoming a notary signing agent. So that was just a quick PDF guide on how to become a notary signing agent here in California. And then I gave a list of signing services that you can sign up with. And I made my first dollar online. So when I made my first dollar, I was like, damn, somebody really bought something that I pretty much created. It only took me about an hour to do. Went to Canva, got the coloring background, done all that stuff done.
And you sold it for $1?
It was for $1. It was $1. It was a $1 digital product. And then from there, the next one after that was the STAMPIN loan closing workshop. So from there, that first one just gave me the confidence. So it was like, okay, I can do this, right?
Right.
So the very next time, man, I was in my son's room. They was at school. I turned my mic on. And I knew, and the cool thing about it is, like, again, he always encouraged us to like create things based on what you know. You don't gotta be fancy. Just talk about what you know. And one thing about me at the time, I did a ton of loan closings. So I was like, man, I always got compliments on how well I was able to thoroughly go through the documents with them and explain it. So I was like, well, if I can do this, I'm pretty sure I could teach somebody how to explain documents, whether it's a refinance, HELOC, buyer or seller only docs. And that was the next one. And then from there, I just kept putting stuff out. I was like, man, I could really keep doing this because I seen what it did for other people like Neo Davis, Charles, Andre Hatchett, Mark Wells, all these people that put all these products out. I seen what it did for them and and where they're at now. So I was like, man, if they can do this, why not me?
That's right.
And then just being around the guys and even the ladies too that's putting that stuff out. I was like, oh man, I'm in the right environment. And so from there, I was just putting stuff out. And I was like, whatever I'm thinking of, I'm launching it. I don't care what it is. With the free workshop, I'm gonna record that, turn that into a digital product. But if I get an idea on how this could help a particular person, sit there, record it, do the outline for it, sit down, record it, put it out there, and that's that.
Right. Yeah. And I think I just want notaries to know that they can do that too.
Absolutely.
And they'll say it sounds good, but people literally think that they can't. I don't know why. Maybe it's just that's too big for them. It's super simple. It's super simple. And people may feel like they need to earn their stripes in order to create something like that. No, you got knowledge today. Yeah. And you don't even have to, use your notary knowledge. You got personal knowledge, you got skills and talents and stuff. You can sell it outside of your business. But it's just low-hanging fruit. Yeah. It's just too easy.
Yeah, you get it comes back to, like you said, I mean, just having that belief in yourself. Like you said, I think it's another thing what holds people back too is feeling like you got to earn your stripes. And I dealt with that for a minute. I was like, well, do I really think I should do this? But when you think about it, it's people out here who only did a single closing. They put out how to do this, how to become a notary in this amount of time. I was like, dude, you never did that assignment. So how was it? If those people, if they feel confident enough to put something out there where they don't have the strength, they don't have no one to back them up, no reference checks or anything of that nature, who's to say you can't do it? Because again, we all bring something unique and something different to the table. I don't care who it is. We all bring something unique and different. So
not being afraid to fail too. You taking a chance. You're taking a chance. I mean, when you're selling something that's personal to you that you created and nobody buys it, you felt like so sometimes I think it's a trick that goes on in people's minds where they're like, people don't know me, or I haven't done enough, or what about the things I don't know? Yeah. So they wait. They wait and they wait and they wait. And then somebody passed them in the race because they believe that they can. What they don't know, they don't know. And if they fail, they learn and they keep moving. So
you got to fail. It's no avoiding that. You gonna fail. Like it is what it is. So the thing about it, like I said, whenever you do fail, like use that as a learning lesson. Like use it as a time to say, like, and I was talking about this on Clubhouse. Like I got one course, Smart Notary Money, the hybrid model. When I put that out, I was like, oh, I made it. I'm about to make some M's off of this. And it flopped. It super flopped. Like I think I might have gotten like 5 sales from that. But you know what? That didn't stop me though, because I put out like 4 or 5 other courses after that. Right. So it's just a matter.
Why do you think that one flopped? What did you gain from that experience?
Man, I just thought, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why it flopped. Because my whole thing was, I'm looked at like, because at the time I was doing loan signings, and I think most people, they think that when you're doing loan signings, you got to do the gift baskets, you got to do all that stuff, right? And you really don't have to do that stuff, right? So I just try to share from my perspective of how I got approved to work with title companies, start working direct. So I thought, my man, this could be some life-changing information right here, because again, I didn't do nothing special, so I just put it out there, and then I thought I was gonna do numbers, like seriously thought I was gonna do numbers, but it just didn't work out. But what I learned from that was, one, I didn't promo enough. I just created the product, I just put it out there, did a couple of posts here and there, and thought it was gonna do all right, but that wasn't the case. And so what I learned from that situation was, like, one, nobody asked for this. 2, I didn't promo enough for it. I wasn't going on any podcasts. I wasn't going on IG Live, because it's one thing to create the course, but it's a promotion. It's like your product can be great, but if nobody doesn't know about it, it's not going to do great. All right. So I wasn't really doing a lot of marketing, too much promoting from it. So now whenever I do put out a product, best believe you're going to catch me on IG Live. You're going to catch these 10 to 15 emails. You're going to catch these 10 to 15 reels. Like, you're going to get everything that comes with it. So you're going to know I exist. You're going to know this is something that you need to be tapped in with. So I learned a lot from that, So again, I'm one of those kind of people. It's like, I'm not afraid to look stupid. I'm not afraid to fail. It's like, it wouldn't be the first time. So it's definitely not last. So that's why I always just encourage people, like, whatever you got the idea, whatever it is that you're thinking of, just put it out there. Like I said, there's some, and whoever got something to say about it, who cares? They on the sidelines. They're not willing to put themselves out there.
And those are the main ones that have a lot to say who are not willing to take the chance to do that. Because I think in their heads, they're like, oh, great. You know, he's not that great. He's just like me. Yeah. That's why they got a lot to say.
Right. They're sitting on the sidelines. They're not willing to take that time to sit there to create a product and willing to be criticized. And that was something that I learned from Charles. It's like, I'm willing to be criticized, because the criticism actually makes you better. But what you realize, because when you got, if nobody ain't criticizing, then you ain't got nothing. So if someone is criticizing you, I was like, okay, they got something to say about this. Okay, what can I do to make this better? So what can I do to enhance this product and make this better the next time around? And then normally that criticism, that helps you. So thanks a lot. Thanks for the criticism, because you just made me a ton of money just from that remark that you made. And I took that information, implement that into the next product. And now this is where we at now, while you're still trying to figure out what you want to do moving forward.
Right. That's so true. Yeah. I think, you know, in the digital product space, people are afraid of the value that they have won't be appreciated or valued, you know, and in some ways you have to earn your stripes. You have to warm up your audience and let them know who you are. It takes time. You have to get comfortable with it. And then as your confidence builds, you know, then your natural presence and stuff, it hits different to customers too, whoever you're serving. So it just takes time. And that's not necessarily failure. It's a process.
Absolutely. And also too, surround yourself. I mean, being around the right people. You got to be around the people that's actually doing those. Because a lot of times, because I didn't get here by myself. It's been a lot of folks within my circle that I done leaned on for certain things to help me get to where I'm at now. So you're not going to get there by yourself. Be around the people that's actually done what you're doing. Because a lot of times you will gain some insights from people that's actually done it before. And more times you actually will come across people that want to help you. That's another thing too. I didn't realize, like, I was the type of person where I was like, I'll do this by myself. I don't need none of y'all. You know, I had this me against the world. Because I'm really competitive. I got a real chip on my shoulder because I always felt like folks always doubted me. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna really show y'all. So, but when you get around people that doesn't feel that way, that they just want to just absolutely help you. They want to get, and they got that same chip on their shoulder, and they want to help you get what you're trying to get to as well. So I was like, oh, that's like, when you got people behind you, that just like amplifies everything as well.
Yeah, like those people do exist. You know, when you step out there and you start to take chances and have belief in yourself, you will attract people with that same mindset. You know, and back in the peanut gallery where everybody's talking about everybody else, if that's where you were, that may be what you expect, but that's not the world. That's not it. You just got to cancel out, put blinders on about what other people are thinking about you, because they don't even understand a day in the life of you. They would love to have it, but they're not willing to put that work in. So all they can do is talk about it. So I totally agree.
You got to put those blinders on and just work. Because eventually it's going to pop. I mean, at some point it's going to pop off. And then you're going to have other people that's, like I said, they're going to recognize you. They're going to send you a DMs like, man, I'm loving everything that you're doing. What can I do to help you? And you're going to have people that's going to support your movement.
Right.
Too. You may start off by yourself initially, but like I said, the more things that you put out into the world, you're gonna have people that's gonna support you. They're gonna want to support your movement and want to collaborate with you and do all those things with you. And that's when you start to see more doors open for you as well. But those things don't happen unless you make the decision to create something to put it out there.
That's right. And so I just want other notaries to know that that's possible for them. And so at first, my target audience for coaching for digital products and stuff was just every notary, because but it's not everybody. Some people are not interested in doing it. They love, just people facing, they don't feel a need for that, or maybe they just don't think they have anything to offer at the time. It's not their thing. But then you have others that feel like it's levels to it. I don't think it's levels to creating a digital product. You can create one. If you're existing in this world and you had experience, you have something that somebody can get some value from. But a lot of people just don't know that that's possible. So I feel like I add the value where I can help people believe that that's possible, show them, guide them, and give them, different ways of looking at it. And so that's where my coaching comes in. Yeah.
All right. Man, this was a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Before we wrap up, I always got to ask my guests this: where do you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see your business going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see myself doing group coaching on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Larger scale. Like I understand the value of scaling. Anything you do on scaling it is the way to go. It's the smart way to go. And I see myself, I like one-to-one coaching, but I mean, it's not sustainable. I get some fulfillment from it, but there's a cap on the money you make with that, outside of digital products. But I do like helping people. I help like guiding and showing people things and helping, offering them new perspectives, but scaling it to a group setting and then eventually training other training coaches to do the same. It's crazy. I could see myself doing that. I think I find fulfillment in that and expanding outside of the notary world. So I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, but that's where I see myself because I once upon a time when I was a little girl, I enjoyed it, but I didn't think that there was a space to do that. And it's so funny, like people, for me, the things that I love the most, I didn't think that I could monetize it. And I started to realize that now. I just had this idea, like I told you before, I wanted to get a career. I wanted to be rich. So when my counselor said, oh, just major in this, I was like, okay. I didn't think that because I loved psychology and working with people that maybe that's not going to bring me money. I just didn't. Yeah. I don't know why, but now I get it. Like you can, anything you love and you're willing to work and put energy into it, you can fund it. But that does not mean you have to necessarily do what you love forever. You do what you have skill in and you can monetize and you use that to fund your passions. So what I'm doing now, I like, there's some things I don't love about the notary world and my business and even coaching, but putting the work in and gaining some mastery with that, then you can fuel and fund your passions and ultimately all the things you want to do. But short answer is group coaching. I think I would love ultimately to coach other coaches at some point. I think that's what I would really love to do.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope. Make sure y'all tap in. Where can they tap in with you, Corinne? Where can they find you? Where can they support you? Okay. Take everything for them.
Yeah, so you can find me at Freedom Notary. That's at Freedom Notary on Instagram. You can also just keep following me. You'll find I'm developing more digital products relating to creating digital products and the different types of digital products you can create. Eventually, I will be developing an ebook writing course. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it live or pre-recorded. I think live is great. You'll learn how to write your first ebook. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me now.
Appreciate you again for tapping in, for jumping on the show. And until next time, y'all, tongue tied. Peace.